Hi there everyone, this video is directed more towards the Ubisoft fix report that this video is going to be submitted with, but it might be useful in case anyone else has already or is yet to experience this bug on Rainbow Six Siege. Now this bug takes place on the secure area game mode on the map Villa, playing on a PlayStation 4. And I have to express immediately that this bug is not easily reproducible. I initially found this in a multiplayer game, I then tested it in a local custom game and the bug repeated and it was there just as I'd experienced it in match. But then when I closed the application, put my PlayStation into rest mode for a few minutes and then came back into the game and set up a new custom game, the bug was completely gone and none of the symptoms remained. So this video is just to explain the symptoms of this bug, so if there is any chance for it being fixed, it can hopefully do so, and also allow people to identify when this bug might happen for them. Now the first thing I noticed was that when I booted into the game as starting out as an attacker, I had limited drone audio. It wasn't making the normal interactions with the ground as it's driving along it. It made some of them where it would sort of scrape along a surface, but for the most part the droning was very quiet. Also, you couldn't hear the jumping sound, and when I was in game I couldn't hear any gunshots, couldn't hear the objective sounds or any explosions whilst on my drone.
You need to locate the biohazard container.
This was the same for cameras. You can't hear gunshots, can't hear explosions, can't hear the objective noises. There was almost silent except for the actual camera movement audio.
10 seconds left. 5 seconds left.
But this bug also had other symptoms even when I was outside of my drone. So I'll give you a couple of examples that I noticed in the multiplayer match. The first one is as I'm rappelling into this window, there is fighting happening directly in front, maybe slightly to the right of me, but importantly, the fighting is happening very close in front of me, and yet the sounds from this fighting is on the right hand side of my headphones.
Adrenaline surge incoming.
Then this Jaeger appears ahead of me, but as soon as he starts shooting, his bullets play from the right hand side of my headphones as well. And then later on in the round, there is fighting where my last teammate gets taken out, and this is further across the map to my left, and yet again the sound is still playing as though it's happening close to my right.
Hostile activity. Resume securing the container once the threat is neutralized. Stop securing the container.
So then to test this, I created a local custom game. This used the map Villa secure area, and I tried to keep the game rules as similar to the base game as possible. And the first thing I noticed is that if the player is not facing directly north or directly south, the audio for the barricade melees as well as gunshot interactions will always play from the south. So whichever direction that is relative to the player, it will play in the southern direction through their headphones. And this is true both inside the building as well as outside of the building, as I will now show you with the clips in the background.
Seconds. Remain in this zone.
Similarly, for gunshot interactions, so this is when the bullet contacts a surface, it's exactly the same. The interaction always plays from the south if you aren't facing directly north or directly south. I then also tested internal barricades, so this will be the doors within the building, and I found the results inconsistent. My first test, yet again, had the sound playing from the south. However, my follow-up tests did not have this issue.
Seconds to insertion. 5 seconds to insertion. Biohazard container location unknown. Secure.
I then tested gadget sounds when the player is on the other side of a window to that gadget. This was tested using Nitro cells as well as a detonated Goyo shield. And regardless of whether the player was inside the building or outside the building, yet again the sound was usually directed towards the south of the map.
You have entered an enemy-controlled area. Leave now. You have been spotted by hostiles. Fall back. If you remain in this zone, you will be detected if you remain in this area. You have been spotted by hostiles. Fall back. You have entered an enemy-controlled area. Leave now. You have been spotted.
I then decided to test gadgets within the building. This involved testing Fuse's cluster charge, Goyo's shield, Nitro cells, as well as breaching charges and frag grenades. Now for Goyo's shield, I noticed that every time you explode the shield within a building, the sound always plays from the right for the player. So no matter what direction the player is looking, that sound will be played from their right.
10 seconds to insertion. 5 seconds left.
This was also discovered to be the same for Fuse's cluster charge. However, I did find breaching charges were quite inconsistent, and frag grenades also. I think this might be because of them also opening a hole in the wall at the same time, but this showed that it wasn't affecting all gadgets universally. I also tested detonating a Goyo shield from the other side of a wall whilst looking directly at it, and the sound played as normal. And finally, I also tested the sound the objective makes, and I did find for one of my tests that when I left the room and the sound continued playing, it played only on the right. However, this was only shown in one test and it wasn't very consistent.
Cease securing the container.
So hopefully this is useful. Unfortunately, this bug will probably not be fixed soon because it's not easy to repeat. As I said, when I reloaded the game and then started a new custom game, it didn't occur again. I had all audio and it was the same for all game modes. Unfortunately, this meant that I couldn't verify whether it only occurred for secure area or whether it was a map-wide bug. I'm assuming this is a client-side bug because it did change as soon as I rebooted my game. The first thing to look out for is if you have limited drone or camera audio. This should be a red flag that you may well be experiencing this bug, and so you should hopefully now know that you can sometimes circumvent it by rebooting your game and perhaps your system as well.